I'm in my room alone, crying. And I rarely cried, right, even when I was young. It just always seemed pretty wasteful to do so. But the reason that I'm crying now is not why you might expect. It's because of Harry Potter. And this was back in primary school, right? And every couple of weeks, we choose a topic to focus on during English, where we'd write about a certain film aspect, like creative writing. And the teacher had asked the class, guys, put your hands up if you watch the Harry Potter movies. And everyone put their hand up, right? Apart from me. Because let's be honest, there was a white school and Harry Potter is idolized and everyone's seen the movies. But I hadn't. I was the only one who hadn't seen the Harry Potter movies. But the thing is, since the majority of the class had seen the Harry Potter movies, we were going to start our next English module around the Harry Potter movies, describing a scene that we liked. I remember that was the first task. Describe a scene that you liked using adjectives, metaphors, etc. I hadn't seen the movie before, and I couldn't, right? Since I was the only one in a class of 30 that hadn't seen the movie. The teacher just deemed I was too insignificant, so I was just sitting there feeling dumb because they didn't even put a scene of Harry Potter on the screen. I couldn't pop up my laptop and search this up because this was when I was 8, right? So I'm just sitting there dumb, pencil in hand, and everyone else is writing about their favorite scene, but I can't because I haven't seen the movies. So I go home at the end of the day and I tell my mom I want to watch the Harry Potter movies, but she says no because I haven't read the books yet. You see, we had this rule. If I wanted to see the movie version of a book, I had to read the books first. And back then I didn't understand this. It was annoying. I wasn't allowed to watch the Hunger Games until I read it. I wasn't allowed to watch Harry Potter. And back then I resented this, obviously, as any child would. And so I cried about it, literally. But I'm so grateful that my parents said no. My mother made me read the books first. Even back then, in 2013, 14, 15, whenever this was, before TikTok, she knew the importance of attention span. She didn't allow me to watch the movie version until I had read the book because she knew how valuable training your attention span was. She knew that once I watched the flashy animated movie version of the book, of course I wouldn't want to read the book version. And this was a common pattern of my childhood. Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Tom Gates were contrabanded items. They were forbidden in the house. I remember when a kid in our school used to bring in the Diary of the Wimpy Kid books, I'd borrow them from them and then secretly bring them home and then read them and then return them the next day because they were banned in our household. My parents feared that if I read these easy books, I wouldn't be able to read the hard books. And to be fair, they were right. If you just look at the Diary of the Wimpy Kid books or Tom Gates books, obviously I wouldn't be able to read the harder books because these books are just so easy to digest and understand. I wouldn't feel the need to read the harder books. And again, now I'm so grateful for this. Because of this, I still read to this day because I still have the skill of reading. I enjoy reading and the books I read in my childhood are still serving me to this day. Because how can Moby Dick or Charles Dickens be fun after I read Diary of a Wimpy Kid? And these were all in the good days. The most brain-rotting, the most attention span sucking activity you could do back then was watching a movie version instead of a book, reading comics and easy books instead of the classic books. But now, when was the last time you read? They're not needed anymore because scarily, something quite dystopian is happening in our modern world. Social media, TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube all exist. Of course you don't have the attention span to read a book or even watch movies. It was around year 6 when TikTok came out for us in the UK, but it wasn't until year 7 or 8 that I started using TikTok because that was also when I got my first phone. Short form content was revolutionary back then when YouTube was just long form. Instagram Reels hadn't existed yet, but this showing you a new form of short form content and just scrolling. The model that they used on TikTok was so revolutionary. Every couple of seconds, a new piece of content is shown to you at the cost of your attention span. Each post is different. You don't know what's going to be next. Our monkey brain, our chimp minds, we love this pursuit of unknowingness. If we don't get a reward a certain amount of time, but we know that we might come across a really funny TikTok, that just keeps making us scroll. But the thing is, the more exposed you are to more types of content, your baseline drops. The hit you're craving is just to feel normal again. When you're not scrolling, your baseline happiness sinks lower and lower. And I vividly remember, even after my parents had tried so hard for so many years, they made me read all these hard books, they didn't let me watch movies, I literally been trained without even knowing it. And they were literally ahead of the game by years. I'd been on a dopamine detox from my whole life, but just 1 year with TikTok was enough for me to not be able to read books. And not even being addicted because even with my phone, I had 15 minutes of screen time a day. We used to have these reading challenges. There was this program in the UK, right? Because there was this app called Accelerated Reader, and I was the first person in my school to reach 1 million words. That same kid, that same Asian guy who loved reading, who read so many books, couldn't read. I physically couldn't read. I remember last year, my mom said I had to read a book this Christmas because I just hadn't read a book in so long. At the airport, I selected a book called June. And if you guys just said, oh, June, isn't that the movie? Bro, it's a movie based on a book, so I obviously got the book right, all time's sake. But the thing is, if you guys have seen the book, book, you'll know it's quite challenging, but it's nowhere near the level of like Moby Dick, Charles Dickens, etc. And I was easily engulfing those when I was younger, right? But I couldn't read the book, bro. I just couldn't. I'd read the page and it'd be so boring. I'd be like, there's nothing happening. It's so boring. The language is so boring, bro. I couldn't focus on the book. And I think the first step for me reclaiming my attention span, it was this revelation moment. I was lucky enough for my parents to give me this wake up call. I had a point of comparison. I knew that I used to be able to read these books, and now that I saw that I couldn't, I didn't have the attention span to be able to read this book. That was enough. That's all I needed to know. This realization is important. You have to know what's happening. You have to acknowledge that there is in fact a robbery. You have to take action. I wasn't even addicted. For me, it was literally just like on the school bus, so that was like an hour or something compared to some of the people in my class, right? They'd be spending double-digit hours on TikTok, etc. But that was enough. My focus was being robbed in front of my eyes, and I did nothing to stop it. And I was scared, bro. I was actually genuinely scared. And it's only scary for me, I think, because I had the privilege of my parents drilling the importance of attention, being able to focus on things from such a young age, and I'm able to compare a younger version of me who was reading all these books, and now I can't. That's so scary to me, bro, because imagine I can't even focus on a movie because it's too boring, and we end up just shutting it off. Imagine like how bad it might get. And we live in a dopamine overloaded era, right? And so a dopamine detox, I think, if you really want to fix your attention span, is the way to go. For me, I set up all these cute like screen time apps, and then I like time limited, alarmed everything, but they never worked because I just skipped the alarm and shut off the like screen time. And so that's why like a couple of months ago, I cut out all social media and dopamine activities from my life for 1 week, and I posted it on YouTube, right? You can see the video here. It acted like a filter, and then afterwards the only app that I re-downloaded was Instagram. And of course it's not as good as quitting all social media, but I made huge progress. TikTok and Snapchat, Reddit, Twitter, all these apps left my life, and they still have left to this point. And I think a dopamine detox, it's good because you're fixing your attention span, obviously. You can also like feel how addicted you are. I remember feeling withdrawal symptoms. I'd literally be craving to scroll. I'd be craving to see content during that week. But it's not about eliminating everything at once. It's about awareness and cutting down what you can. It was only after that 1 week that I could actually read again. I was able to focus more when studying because textbooks, they actually felt more interesting. It's so funny and strange, but you really have to experience this to understand what I'm talking about. I'm so scared about what will happen to me and for you who's addicted to technology and all these short form content, because I think we're entering an era where our attention and focus will be valued more than ever. So after watching this video, just get your phone out and look at all the apps you have on your phone and just ask yourself if genuinely your focus and your attention, your potential, your ability to study, look at textbooks, talk to people, is it worth you sacrificing that over just for that short pleasure? I miss the young me who used to read when he was bored, when movies were a scarce privilege and comic books had to smuggle like they were cocaine. We can all agree that strawberries are really sweet, right? They're like proper sweet. Like sometimes you wonder how fruits are healthy because they're just so sweet. But the moment that you get used to eating chocolate, candy, all these stuff, and after you eat that, you try and eat the strawberry doesn't taste good anymore. You can only taste the real sweetness of the fruit, not the artificial sugar sweetness. Once you stop eating the chocolate, the candy beforehand, try letting yourself be bored, and only after then will your thoughts, the things you do, that will all come naturally, and everything will seem fun again. Psst, hey you, yeah you. If you enjoyed this video and you watched this far, chances are you want to become a superior student. Join Superior Students, my free online community. Right now we're doing a 60-day challenge trying to reclaim our attention spans, but also just becoming a superior student in general. Click the first link in the description and I'll see you there.